Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook on Thursday the 15th of June. This is Kim speaking. Looking at the euro dollar first, and well, yesterday was a game of two halves. The poor data came out uh, from the US and then followed by a stance which actually suggested sort of toughening, not necessarily interest rate increases, but to reduce the balance sheet to their holding. So which was quite sort of took the markets a little bit by surprise here, and we're now um, you should see with the euro, we put in this sort of almost a doji bar really, and so yes, another indecision bar here. Now, looking from this sort of pattern alone, it does look like, well, if we break, there's a sort of little trend line across. Here we go. Yeah, I'll redraw that actually along the bottom of that low bar there at 8 o'clock last night. I'd already drawn it yesterday. Redraw that, and if it does actually start breaking that sort of level, well, that's probably a bit of a line in the sand for maybe a bigger correction. Still refer to this monthly pivot, still got potential for it to come down towards that if it does start the move down. It was just as likely, though, almost just to continue chopping at the moment. As I said, yesterday's movement did nothing but rally up strong first thing and then sell off again back to where it was in the first place, roughly. So potential for today, well, we have got a daily pivot above us, so there is the potential for us to have a break towards that area, but would it look to push much beyond that? Well, not necessarily. I'll be watching this morning, but of course I'll trade towards that sort of zone. Any sort of rollover from there would be potential shorting. Alternatively, if it starts breaking down and doesn't even run to that sort of zone, may be a break of this sort of level here even, may provide the short side towards yesterday's lows and maybe even the S, or most likely the S1 there. Okay, the pound, well, again, let's look at the daily perspective, and well, put a doji in there, a clear doji in there yesterday. It's just run up that little bit higher, run up to the daily pivot there. Sorry, weekly pivot there. Actually ran up in eventually into the 50 and rolled back. So that too looks, well, similar sort of price action here. It's just come down to the hourly, and again we've got an untouched daily pivot above that has a reasonable probability of being broken. A break of the lows though, and yesterday's lows rather, may see us run down at least to the S1, maybe more. It certainly doesn't look at all strong there at the moment. As I say, there is a potential this morning though of that daily pivot being hit quite early on, maybe. Dollar yen, whoops. There we go, dollar yen, and well, that same sort of thing there. Has put a bit of divergence in there on the dailies now. At these lows here, it's possibly a bit more clear than it was previously. We'd had this sort of the start of the move up there. It's diverged. It's spot the original pattern that we'd been trading partially off of in terms of from the Gartley pattern. It's sort of arguably spoilt that now, but all the same, the divergence is there. It does look like it could continue towards that upside there. However, when you look at the 4 hourlies, it's quite messy. And well, the dailies, it's above its daily pivot at the moment. Maybe a break of that 34. It may just correct itself this morning a little bit more to the downside. We'll see. But a break of those sort of 34 line, we've got the trend line across the top of these highs here. Well, maybe that would start the move back into the area where it was running yesterday. It really has messed the charts up somewhat, yesterday's data. Okay, Okay, Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar really was the only one that's pushed and held up yesterday somewhat. Yes, it did still have a bit of a pullback, but not to the extent of the other markets. It already moved up pretty strong in the morning and continues to look like, well, there's potentially some more upside there towards maybe the R2. Let's just come down to time frames here. It's already hit the daily pivot. It hasn't really quite got up to the R1, so I mean, maybe if it's got the potential. If you see the other markets moving towards their pivots, this may move towards its R1 with a bit of dollar weakness. We'll see how that runs. It's not a clear picture to read at all on there, so it's really absolute guesswork what that might do. Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar's sort of been clearer, been heading south there. It too, though, has put in sort of some sort of reversal signs here, a bit of divergence off these lows. It's short of it's gone through its weekly pivot, although that was relatively pinched from the previous week's lack of movement there. It's above its daily pivot at the moment. There is a potential for a bit of correction here. Let's just check what oil's doing itself. Okay, well, oil came off yesterday and it's down to 44. So really, this is just pure strength from more economic strength, excluding the oil aspect at the moment. It's been sort of split aside, and maybe at some point we'll see that work its way through quite quickly. We've seen it before, where it's sort of you see the price or the Canadian dollar working what seems completely opposite to what's happening to oil, then all of a sudden it gets back into sync. Now, obviously, this is by the speakers that have also been talking about toughening up the situation in Canada in terms of the balance sheets, etc. So that's why we're sort of sitting here as we are in this sort of tougher area at the moment. But as oil flicks through, I have the feeling we'll see quite a quick correction here, or quite a strong correction. But when, it's another matter. At the moment, consolidation, as I say, there was a bit of divergence there, even on the hourlies. They're a bit clearer on the hourlies. Maybe it's got some more upside. Maybe just today the R1, but does look. Do think there may be some upside there. Okay, that's it for me. Have a great one. Bye for now.